Hello, hello, hello. Antphrodite here, your pop culture psychic, back to again with other psychic reacts. This time it's to Christy Carlson Romano because she has a video on YouTube that is titled, How Psychics Scam Me Out $60,000. First of all, at least we know where that Kim Possible money went. Second of all, how? I have a lot of questions. And third of all, of course, one bad apple making us all look bad. So I'm going to do a live reaction to this and give you my opinions. And see what happened to her fortune. So let's get started. And remember, everything I'm about to say is all alleged for entertainment purposes only, okay? Okay. All right, honey, let's see how this Kim Possible money was spent.
So this is how psychics conned me out of 60 grand.
I mean, I will say it's definitely a first world problem to have $60,000 to blow, period.
This is like the biggest mistake I've ever made financially. I was approached by a psychic at my stage door.
Okay, so right off the bat, I can tell you, a psychic approaching you is weird. So as a psychic myself, who has done a damn good job at showcasing my ability, and showcasing my accuracy, it's weird. I would never go up to someone unprovoked and be like, I feel something in you. It's a red flag. It's very much a red flag for someone to come up to you, approach you, and ask you, or say, your energy is interesting. All of your energies are interesting. Every person is unique. Every person's energy says something. When I meet people for the first time, a lot of times I learn a lot about them, or even just bumping into them or seeing them, I learn a lot about you immediately, but I know not to act on it. It's just weird. It's like putting your stuff onto someone else. It's like when someone walks up to me and finds out I'm a psychic and then tells me they don't believe in what I do. It's weird. Keep that to yourself. So like for me in this specific instance, usually a red flag, not always, but it's most of the time a red flag that someone's coming up to you and telling you that your energy is interesting, whatever. A lot of frauds do that.
When I was doing Beauty and the Beast on Broadway. Nobody saw it coming. It was completely random. It was a person who completely targeted me and had maybe seen the show. I'm not sure. It probably was just somebody who was seeing that a bunch of people were rushing me at the door and said, there's my next target. They came.
That is correct.
They gave me a card and said, I know exactly where your life is supposed to go. I, at the time, was very sad.
So here's the problem, saying I know exactly where your life is going to go. They would not know that. As a psychic myself, it doesn't really work that way. Our job, and my job in specific, is to help enlighten you, choose the decisions that are best for you. I'm helping show you the paths. I'm not choosing them for you. When people come to me and they're lost, they don't really know what they want to do for a living or anything like that, I tell them, give me your options and I will help you decide which one is best for you by showing you what each route is going to look like if you choose to go down it. We show you the potentials and the possibilities. You choose. We cannot choose what you do, and we are not able to tell you exactly what you should be doing. It is your free will decision to do whatever the fuck you want in this life.
Very lonely. I was a little confused about where my career was heading. I was nervous.
That's common. Almost everyone is confused where their career is heading and doesn't know where they're going, and relationships are always rocky. So everyone feels that way.
About some relationships that I had gotten out of, and here was a person offering me answers in the form of this card. And it just made me super excited. I just felt this huge like dopamine rush. And I was like, wow, I can call this person and like she has an interest in me and telling me, I don't know why I was so gullible at the time.
Girl, she did not just walk into a fucking branch and said she was gullible.
Called this person. I had like a phone interview with her, and I think she might have even have come over to my private residence. Like, what was I thinking? This is like a nightmare for like a Lifetime movie.
She invited a stranger to her house. See, this is why a lot of what I do is online. That just seems really unnecessary. I mean, at least she's aware of what she was doing. I wish that if she's going to recount the story, she would just recount the story. It's just like her being like, what was I thinking? It's like, you know what I mean? Like, kind of just spill it, Kim, you know?
Or something. It didn't start off like a lot of money. It started off just like, oh, it's like, you know, $100 for a reading or something. And I was like, oh, great, okay. Little by little, I started to depend on this person.
So right there, red flag. So right there, she said she started to depend on this person. If you have watched any of my content, I do live readings on Twitch a lot. Also do prior readings and stuff, which they're coming soon, guys. Relax, okay? I'm really burnt out, but I'm trying my best. I constantly reject people. And if I feel like someone is trying to come to me too soon, I tell them no. I'll have people like, I want a reading for you every month. And I'd be like, no. I literally am constantly telling people no. I'm constantly refunding people and saying no. No, you should not be coming to me that often, and you should not be relying on me for every decision. And if your reader isn't telling you no, it's a red flag.
Because she told me certain things about a past relationship it was supposed to have worked out and it didn't.
See, once again, another red flag. A past relationship, she was talking about a past relationship and she told her what she wanted to hear, which is what I don't do. And she said it was supposed to have worked out and it didn't. That could be possible, but it wouldn't be worded in that way. So this is what I want you guys to realize, because people are always like, your pick-a cards are negative. No, they're not. I'm telling you the truth. Everyone else is just telling you what you want to hear so that you'll keep clicking, get stuck in an endless loop of pick-a cards or an endless loop of TikTok views. That is not how a real psychic is. I'm telling you, that wouldn't be worded that way. If you were supposed to, quote-unquote, supposed to be with someone, and it didn't work out, it wouldn't be worded that way. Like, it was supposed to work out, but it didn't happen. The way it would be worded is something along the lines of, basically, if I were to give you a random example, this person was intimidated by your happiness and because of that was insecure and was no longer energetically compatible with you, therefore did whatever they wanted to do. This person was so scared that they chose by their free will decision to act a fool and cheat. Therefore, the connection was destroyed. That is a choice that person made. The way that this is worded is manipulative because it's worded as if it was supposed to happen, but then it just didn't. And that makes people think, well, maybe I could have changed the scenario, or maybe it was me. Maybe the universe just wanted to destroy us. No, that person decided to do what they decided to do. And maybe circumstances, maybe people are moving, or maybe something randomly happened in their family and it caused that, then maybe that was the universe interfering. But usually when the universe interferes is because we were ignoring red flags before. But regardless, either way, there's always a way that is worded that is healthy and a way that is worded as toxic. That's a toxic wording. You have to pay attention to that.
And that I needed to try to make it work. I was probably the best candidate to be bamboozled by someone like this.
That doesn't really make sense to me because isn't she like famous or whatever? She was like Even Stevens' sister, and then she was Kim Possible. So it's kind of weird to me because I'm like, everyone kind of knows Christy Carlson Romano, right? The icon, the legend, the star. So I think it's weird that she's like, especially the fact that this person walked up to her at Broadway or whatever. Like, she's a Broadway singer at this point or something. I forget. So it's like, I don't think that you would be the easiest client to like bamboozle. So it's weird to me. I don't know. I'm like, my little spidey senses are going off. I'm like, there's parts of this story that are left out that I think are important because something's not right. But regardless.
By the way, I wasn't the only client that this person had. They had tons of clients that were keeping their lights on. So I was in Manhattan.
Okay. Sure. I believe that. Yeah, absolutely. But also, need a little bit more of a backstory on that. Were they like celebrity friends or what? Because I've also had instances where there are people that are just like used to someone who is not very good at what they do, but they've been there a while. So I've experienced that too, where I'm like, that person is not really doing it right. But like, people will tell me that I'm doing it wrong because they're conditioned by someone who's been doing it wrong, and they think I'm doing it wrong when I'm doing it right. So maybe it's one of those scenarios. I'm not sure.
This person lived in Hoboken, like across the bridge, and I ended up starting to have such a dependency on this person that I actually went over to her actual psychic shop in Hoboken.
So yeah, having a psychic shop, not shocked. You have to be very careful. Not all psychic shops, obviously, but you know, I mean, we've all seen those random shops on the side of the road and stuff. Be careful.
And was doing like readings there. I was doing strange crystal things and like meditations. And
I mean, meditations are not a bad thing. Regardless, meditation is actually very calming. So I don't think meditations are crazy. Also, strange crystal things. I'm gonna need you to elaborate, Miss Mamas, because what does that mean? Be more specific. I could maybe help you figure out what it is that she was doing that was wrong, or what she was trying to do. If she's just trying to cleanse you or whatever, maybe she's doing it wrong. You know what I mean? But it's like, what was she doing? Because like sometimes maybe someone's trying to put a spell on you or a hex or something. It's possible. It doesn't seem that way to me. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, especially because like if like I don't know the word choice here, I understand she was scammed by someone, whatever, I get it, but I'm also a little bit weary about her just like putting us all under this umbrella of like, oh, crazy crystal things in meditation. Girl, that's not crazy. Like, no, we don't agree. I mean, that's crazy, right? No, actually, crystals and meditation is not crazy. The person apparently, allegedly, that did this to you, whatever, may be a little bit off, but I don't, like, you know what I mean? Don't demonize the whole thing.
I mean, that's crazy, right? Like, I was raised Catholic.
Oh, well, there it is. Shocker.
I was raised to believe in God and saints, and I was confirmed by all rights. This is very much not what I was raised to believe in at all.
Okay, so don't demonize it.
So here I am doing this like weird witchy stuff.
Okay, again, you just called it weird witchy stuff. It's rude, to be honest. It's a little condescending. I'm gonna be honest with you. I understand you had a bad experience, but it's like crazy to me because there's so many different spiritualities and religious practices and stuff. But for some reason, being a psychic or spirituality in general is like free game for people to make fun of or say mean things about. You would never say that. Like, you wouldn't be happy if someone said that about Christianity. So it's just weird to me, but whatever.
And none of it is actually geared towards, I think, intending good for me.
So this is a very weird response. This is, to me, a red flag in terms of a person, not only their personality, but also their intentions. It's weird to me that she feels like she got scammed, but her first instinct is to think of whether whether the entire practice was intended to be good for her or the person. So this is where you start to see that this story is missing pieces, and I'm not shocked. This person, if she would have said, this person wasn't intending good for me, I would be like, you're right. It sounds like this person wasn't. But she didn't go there. Her immediate defense mechanism was to blame spirituality as a whole. And that right there is a red flag. This is what I would personally consider a red flag client, because that doesn't make any sense to me. Why did you just umbrella the entire thing and feel like the whole thing isn't intending good for you when it's clearly the person? The fact that you're blaming the entire thing and the umbrella and not the person is a huge red flag. And that's a red flag client. It's also weird to me that she's very into her, like it's almost narcissistic in terms of the needs that she's looking for. It's also weird to me that the only thing she brought up was her past relationship. That's another red flag in a client, because that's usually indicative of a client that can't let go of a past relationship. And sometimes you'll get clients who will push and prod and provoke you until you give them what they want about their past or their ex. So it sounds to me like she was probably wounded by an ex, couldn't let go of it, which is fine. Seems like someone took advantage of her, which is not a good thing. But then she decided to blame all spirituality in general. Not cool. Don't really like that. I'm gonna be honest.
Mostly it was just a person who was like, what do I say? How do I angle this? How do I exploit her vulnerability?
So she's now demonizing the entire culture. Shocker. You know what I mean? Again, it's me right here.
So that I can get her to come back. She started giving me more things to bring home. She said, okay, well, if you give me more money, this is this amount for this very blessed, very special candle.
Exactly. So that right there is usually the sign of someone who is a bad apple in the bunch, probably not really psychic, maybe a scammer or whatever. Yes. If someone is trying to give you spells to like cure you of something, or trying to make a very special candle for you and charging all this money, most of the time, yes, that is a red flag in terms of someone who is ill-intended. But once again, that person is ill-intended. So what we need to do is reword our word choice in this video, please, and say that this person is ill-intended. I do not believe that the whole practice is ill-intended. I would like, a little bit of clarification there, because I don't particularly care for the fact that one bad apple is all it took. But whatever. I understand she had a bad experience. Not trying to be rude. I'm just saying I personally am seeing a few concerns that I would have if this was a client of mine.
I can go get it, but you need to pay me thousands of dollars here,
Right. So that right there, huge red flag. That person has ill intent and is an alleged scammer. So, don't demonize the whole practice.
$1 there. And so I was so thinking that I was going to go back with this one person who I had dated in college.
Yeah, exactly. So that's exactly what I said. She was obsessed with the ex. Got it.
For a second, right? I was just so bamboozled at that point that I was like, give me the candles and give me the crystals and give me the things and I will light them and I will do all the things. I had a fire in my house because of one of these candles having to stay lit. It didn't harm anybody. I had gone down to like the deli or something, and when I came back there was like fire trucks, and they had told me like, look, we put out a fire in your house, and that was what it was from. It was from these weird witchy candles.
I can't believe you're blaming someone else for you leaving a candle in your house unattended. How is that anyone else's fault? You left a candle unattended in your home and it lit on fire. That is literally fire safety 101. How the hell is that anyone else's fault? I don't care if someone told you to light a candle for 24 hours. The fact that you lit a candle for 24 hours and then walked out is a choice that you made. And I don't like the fact that you're saying these weird witchy candles. That is you. You left a candle on and then left. What? Where is the self-awareness?
I'm not saying that practicing witchcraft is not something for some people. I know that it exists out there. What I'm talking about is people that are trying to exploit people. So now I'm coming
Okay, good, but that's not what you said in the first 3 minutes of this video, so I'm glad we're now clarified.
to her a lot, and it's just sort of like this relationship where I'm just like needing her advice for everything, and I'm just a mess, and she's telling me all about my life and my past lives and how if I don't get back with this person that like my whole life is gonna be over.
Yeah, that right there is a freaking alleged scammer. Yeah, that's obvious. But I mean, at this point, I feel like even if you were super dependent upon someone, I feel like at some point, you know, there's got to be some level of self-awareness that like this is crazy. Like, that's, again, it's frustrating for me because I believe that reasons. So the reason why stuff like this happens is because people are not educated, which is why I try to educate people, but everyone yells over me, and bitch, I'm not loud enough. I'm a loud person, but narcissists are louder than I am, so they can convince people of anything. Bitch, I'm an empath. I'm not good at that. So for me personally, like, it's frustrating because if she was properly educated, this would have been avoided.
And it just so happens that this person keeps popping in and out, but only for brief seconds because they're not a real person in my life. That
right there doesn't make any sense to me. How is she not a real person in your life, but you just said you're dependent upon her and she's coming over your house and you're talking to her all the time? This story is all over the place. I'm a little bit confused. No shade, but I'm very confused.
That only kept satiating, like, and stoking the fires of my codependency. I really
Okay, she's aware that she became codependent on it. Correct. That's great. Again, an accurate psychic will be able to pick up on the codependency instantly and then literally establish a boundary, because that's what she's missing is boundaries. And so a real psychic would be able to establish that boundary pretty quickly for her and be like, hey, you don't have boundaries. Your ex is not interested in you. You need to move on. That's part of the job of a psychic, is telling people what they don't want to hear. Probably experienced that already in this video. I'm sure if she ever watched this video, she'll hate me. But that's kind of the position you have to be in. You have to tell people things they don't want to hear, and you have to be sometimes a little bit rude because you have to be honest.
Just was so sad. I wasn't focused on my career enough. This was sort of like my little secret.
I'm confused. She wasn't focused on her career, but she just said she was on Broadway, didn't she? And baby, you had a lot of money from Kim Possible, right? So I'm really confused. I mean, she had $60,000 to spend. So I guess I'm a little bit confused. I guess maybe she was feeling insecure about her job.
Little shame that I didn't want to talk about with anybody, and nobody really knew. In fact, my parents did not know about this.
I don't tell my parents anything. One of them's dead, so that would be hard to do. But I mean, in general, I don't tell my parents anything. So is that weird?
It was, I guess, using money that I had here and there. But at a certain point, it got really crazy, and I managed to give this woman like a lot of money from my account, because she told me that I needed to get this big crystal, and that the big crystal would be blessed and it would essentially suck up all of the darkness from my past lives, and that there had been like a hex put upon my family. And, like,
yeah. Okay. So yeah, there you go. Horrible. Not true. First of all, a crystal's not going to suck up all the darkness. I mean, crystals can enhance energy. Definitely can help cleanse certain things. Not going to suck up a bunch of darkness. Second of all, we are all a balance of light and dark. So you couldn't suck up all the darkness if you wanted to. It's what makes you human. The yin and yang, the shadow side, whatever. On top of all that, your family's not hexed or cursed. The amount of people that come to me scared of that is actually alarming. Now, you know how freaking hard it would be to curse somebody? Maybe a generational curse, but those are very rare. And somebody in your family would know because there'd be history of it. And it's extremely rare. I'm going to be honest with you, the odds are so slim. No, it's not that. And to curse someone, so basically, if you curse someone, it comes back to you like way harder. So like somebody, in order to curse you, would have to basically sacrifice something really like valuable of themselves, like their soul or like their energy or like their life or something, and it's just not going to happen. If you are doing like spell work against someone, it's going to go back to you. For instance, a lot of times I see people like really obsessed with certain things like sour jars. For a while, those were really popular. Yeah, you can break people up if you send enough negativity at them, but you do realize that all that's going to do is make that person be able to manifest someone even better who probably looks the exact same or similar. You can break those two up. That's fine. But that person that you're targeting unfairly, they will manifest someone looking or acting just like their ex, but better. So you're honestly just going to do them a favor. It doesn't work the way you guys think it works.
Like all of these horrible things. Okay, so like I had said, I have been raised Catholic, but I didn't really know what to believe. I think I was having a crisis of faith. And I think that's what was happening in my mind. I didn't know who to pray to anymore.
That's valid. That's very valid.
I didn't know what to believe. Like I was being worked on, and in a really bad way. I wish that I could hug 21-year-old Christy, 20-year-old Christy, and be like, sweetie, this is okay that you don't have answers. You know what I mean? It's hard, you know, when you're in your early...
Yeah, I mean, that's literally what my job is half the time, is telling people, like, you don't need to know, or, you know, you don't need it. You'll figure it out. So yeah, I can understand what she's saying.
20s, and you have a lot riding on you, and you have a lot of stress. There's a lot of things that can kind of fall by the wayside or can happen.
Right.
And I had a lot of stress, and this is kind of one of the ways that I was dealing with it, was by having this little like codependent relationship. So
I mean, part of me, so I understand that, but the other part of me is like, there had to be a part of her that enjoyed the entertainment aspect of it as well. So to me, it's like this entire scenario is like one giant ball of codependency issues. So it feels very much like codependency mixed with almost like gambling. Like it reminds me of like a gambling addict who's like keeps spinning the wheel. And then the fact that she was enjoying all the rituals and all of the, like, that's more of the performance aspect of this thing. So it's like, okay, like there was the entertainment factor. So it seems like it was the perfect storm.
I give this lady $30,000.
This is crazy to me, and I feel so bad for her. And I'm not saying this to be rude, but holy shit, $30,000 for a crystal. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, this person must have the gift of gab. I consider myself pretty well spoken, and there's no way I could sell anybody $30,000 of nothing, girl. So that person must be very skilled with their tongue, because bitch, there's no freaking way. Like, it's really sad. And hopefully, you know, for people who are probably wondering, like, I wonder like what happens to people who do stuff like this. The universe is all about whatever you put out comes back to you. So absolutely, I mean, this person will have negative energy coming to them tenfold. So yeah, I mean, that person is not that person is not getting away scot-free. You know, they might be able to enjoy that money, but it's going to go just as quick as it came. So, you know, what goes around comes around. And
then the crystal never comes, because after I gave her that money, I immediately got upset.
So that is her gut instinct and her guides literally telling her, bitch, what the fuck are you doing? Yeah.
Immediately knew I did something wrong. I had immediate buyer's remorse, and I was like, I don't know what happened, but there was like a moment of clarity after I gave her that money, and I was like...
Yeah, because your guides stepped in, literally. Your real guides. I know a lot of people aren't going to believe in this, whatever, but your real guides stepped in and were like, bitch, get it together. Because for those who don't know, you have free will decision to do whatever you want. Your guides and the universe, everything, they cannot interfere until you do some shit like that. And then you're like, bitch, get out the way. Like, I'm dead serious. They will Jesus take the wheel your ass and be like, it will happen. Yes.
Oh my gosh, this is too good to be true. There's nothing that I can do to...
That's another thing. If you're going to a reader and you feel like this is too good to be true, it probably is. Because if you've asked anyone who's gotten a reading from me, I keep it real. It's not all sunshines and rainbows.
Either A, salvage this relationship, or you know, my career is in its own path. It has nothing to do with whatever this lady's saying is happening, because a lot of things were coming to fruition. I was getting a book deal, I was getting a record deal, I was getting all these things. And a big part of me was like so intertwined with the outcome of those things.
We also have to keep in mind that one thing I do want to make clear, because this is something that a lot of people are probably not going to realize, especially if you have ever met someone who was like a scammer allegedly, or are trying to judge someone that was. You have to remember that the dark and the light both get access to the same information, just through different means. So sometimes you could have someone who is accurate but is of the dark.
Things happening that I wanted not just to leave it to chance. See, I thought that I was empowering myself. I thought that by doing this, I was gambling in Vegas and playing the cards in a way where I was like reading the cards.
I told you it was like a gambling addict. I freaking told you.
I felt like I was in charge when I was completely not, which is probably part of the hustle. Is that they want you to think that you're in charge.
No, I don't think so. I think when people do this, I don't think they care if you think you're in charge or not. I think that they're just trying to make money. So she just went off of whatever you were saying. I guarantee Christy was probably steering most of the conversations without realizing it.
All I could have been working towards is bringing myself closure for things working out in some ways and not working out in other ways. You know how you look at yourself when you're older and then you look back and you're like, oh, this is that one thing for me that I'm like, I just wish I hadn't done this. Round 2 of me being a total idiot. I move a couple months later to California. I stopped talking to my family because I'm in a new relationship with somebody. That relationship surprised.
Wait, everyone slow down. What? She stopped talking to her family because she's in a new relationship, and she just glossed over that like that's normal.
Guys, isn't going very well because I'm not in a place to love myself, much less.
Sure, that's absolutely, yeah. You're not in a place to love yourself, much less in a relationship with another person, but you're also codependent, and that is what codependent people do. They latch on to things and people. Sounds like you like jump to people consistently, and then you try to find something to hold you over until you find a new guy, and that's probably what that psychic was to you.
The relationship with another person. I end up continuing the relationship.
I would love to ask her if she's been generous with the men she's dated as well.
And
not me trying to help her.
That person dumps me and I'm devastated. I decide that, oh my gosh, she was right. One of the things she told me before I quit her, because quitting the psychic was a whole thing. Yeah, that's usually a sign of someone that's not real, is if you quit and they give you a hard time. Girl, sometimes people don't want to get readings from you anymore. Sometimes people don't need you anymore. Bitch, I love when people don't come back to me, because I'm like, good, hopefully you figured your life out and you're in a good place, and I can't wait to be invited to the wedding. You know what I mean? I had to get my dad involved. I had to get like police involved, Bo Deedle involved.
Who the hell is Bo Deedle? I don't know who that. Am I supposed to know who that is? Also, again, we're missing parts of this. The fact that she had to get her police involved. There's a lot to the story that's being glossed over. What the hell happened that you had to get the police involved?
Because he was friends with my dad.
Also, what happened with your apartment? Also, did you just flex that someone apparently famous is friends with your dad? She's giving confusion.
And I had to get a whole litany of people involved.
I don't even know what litany means. That word's too big for me.
To air my personal issue in codependency with this psychic. I was not proud of how that transpired, but
I feel like this would be something. Wait, what?
The lady did stop. You know, she was communicated with. I think my father kind of intercepted her coming to my place, and then she never came back again. I never heard from her again. She basically just said like that my life would never go the way that it was supposed to go. And I was haunted by that, even a couple years after it, right? So now I'm not talking to my family, not showing up. I'm drinking too much and I'm upset and like all these horrible things that like are happening coincidentally because I haven't developed other skills of coping.
Yeah, because you need to learn self-love. So again, this is definitely another red flag of a client, right? If someone is like in this position, you know, maybe a psychic reading isn't really what they need. And I've said this to many people. Typically, if I get a client like this, 9 times out of 10, the Empress reverse is going to show up almost immediately, which is an issue with self-love. And I mean, I'm all about like, baby, you should always go to see a therapist in addition to, you know, any sort of psychic reading. You know, it's, you know, psychic readings are not a replacement for, you know, mental health help or anything like that, or therapists. It's just something you can do in addition if you want to, but it technically falls under the umbrella of entertainment. It's not like, you know, anything, you know, medical or anything like that. So it definitely looks like this is a client that I would be like, are you sure, like, you're nurturing every part of your, you know, your body and your soul? Are you sure? You know, because remember that technically psychics do fall under entertainment. You know what I mean? We might be trying to help, but it's still entertainment and in the umbrella in terms of the actual classification.
I drove by a psychic office, and I don't know why that office, but I'm all alone. I'm feeling very vulnerable.
Again, I don't buy that you accidentally drove by something, but okay, whatever.
And again, was just totally dumped. And I decided that it was that darn crystal that I didn't get that's ruining this life. So I march into the psychic's office, and this is what's called doubling down. I doubled down and I said to the psychic,
what was that face? That triggered me. I'm sorry. That just like that just gave me like flashbacks to all the Karen videos I saw. I don't know.
Listen, you could do a reading on me, sure, but I need this crystal. Now this lady, I don't know how and what she was thinking, but she probably saw dollar signs. So she was like, okay, all right, absolutely anything you need. She had her.
You stopped into a random psychic's shop, know nothing about them, and demanded to buy the crystal for a high price? What the hell is the story?
Son, like, checking on me and had me intertwined in her family.
She keeps glossing over so many important details. How the hell did you get entwined with someone's family? What does her son have to do with this? I am so confused. This story is not a 10-minute long story. You are glossing over details, and it's really pissing me off because I'm like, girl, there's a lot of context clues missing. Like, you can't just be like, I went to a psychic and then stuff happened and they're bad. Like, what? Girl, we missing parts of this story.
It became something very quickly, even quicker than the one in New York.
What?
I was just codependent from one situation to another situation to another situation. I mean, come on, Christy, get a backbone. So that was a total of $60,000, but it's actually over that with all the extra little readings and palm readings and candles and all that stuff that I got. It was probably closer to like 80. It goes without saying that I learned a very valuable lesson in all of this.
That you have $80 to spend. I mean, $80,000 to spend. That's what I learned.
One is, if a relationship isn't working, it's probably because it's not meant to be. You gotta move on. You gotta just let that person live their life, and you gotta live your life.
Yeah, I mean, I could have told you that right off the bat. I mean, you didn't even need a psychic to tell you that. But, I mean, I tell clients that quite often, and then they get mad at me. I mean, to be fair, I mean, you want a psychic's perspective. Sometimes people are really aggressive. Like, I've had people literally come to be like, when is he coming back? I'm like, he's not, sis. Like, you need to get over it. And they get angry at me and like, how much money do you have to spend in order for you to tell me that? And I'm just like, are you like some people are self-aware and they don't care. And I'm like, you need to go and I'm refunding you. So it's like, yeah, that's why I have a little bit of a different perspective from cases like this, because sometimes it is, and this sounds like she did get scammed, but allegedly, but like, there are people who are like, yeah, that person is like really bad, and they just like only cared about da-da-da. And then you ask the person, like, yeah, it says like, I told them that their boyfriend, like their ex-boyfriend isn't coming back, and now they're like really mad. Like, I've had that happen like 1,000 times where I'm like, tell someone their ex-boyfriend is literally not interested. I literally had someone once where I told them, I was like, your ex literally was only with you because they couldn't get any better and they're not a very good person and you should not want them because of that. And they're like, yeah, I know, but like, I still want them anyways. So, and it's just like, so like sometimes like, again, there are a lot of people that are just, there's not really much you can do. So yeah, it's like, yeah.
And eventually you will grow to a place where you can be in a relationship with somebody else, but you gotta love yourself first.
That's true.
I will never go near another psychic. Don't ever
Oh, cool.
come for me, because I will push you away.
Listen, Christy Carlson Romano, I think the feelings are mutual. I mean, you kind of demonized all of us, so I think the feelings are definitely mutual. Also, I don't particularly think you are a good candidate for a psychic reading because it seems to me like you have a lot of self-awareness work to still do. No shade, I'm just being honest. But I will say, I did hear that she lives in Austin, and as someone that lives in Austin, I've actually heard from a lot of people about this video. A lot of people have come to me and told me about this video and have told me that she like vehemently hates psychics. So I guess now we see why. But I am not the type of person that has a bad experience with one person and hates an entire group. But I mean, I guess she decided to do that.
You really sometimes don't have anyone to blame but yourself. That's okay. You know,
yeah, you don't have anyone to blame but yourself, yet you just blamed all psychics. Those two, that's, again, like I said before, we've learned through this video, at least in my opinion, no shade, I'm just being honest, she does not have a lot of self-awareness. So it's okay to not have a lot of self-awareness. In fact, most actors and actresses are slightly delusional, and that's what makes them such great actors and actresses. You do need a healthy level of delusion in order to be successful, and she is a very successful actress, so not shocked.
Can forgive ourselves for making very serious mistakes.
Yeah.
It takes some forgiveness and some time, but eventually, if you fight through it, you will get out of the woods and you will be a more resilient person. And so that's how I feel about it.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Oops, her other video is coming up. So, yeah. So, in conclusion, there's a lot of damaging rhetoric, but I understand her frustration. I empathize with her. I'm sorry she had a bad experience. Respect the fact that she doesn't like psychics. Understand it. Even though I don't particularly care for the way she worded that, it's her own choice. She's free to do that. I will say, I do hope that she's in a great, happy relationship. I hope that her career, it's doing well on YouTube. So I hope she remains successful. And hopefully, if she sees this, she doesn't hate me too much, but I do have to keep it real and I do have to keep it honest. If anyone ever wants like a whole video of like, I don't know, ways to spot a fake psychic or something, let me know and I'll do a whole video on that. And yeah, let me know what you guys thought in the comments down below of this Psychic Reacts. And my heart does actually seriously go out to Christy. So hopefully you are thriving. Bye.